Hey family, Mr. Frederick right back at you. Hope everyone's doing good today. Um, I'm going to talk about controlling your mind today. Controlling your mind, paying attention to your thoughts, controlling your thoughts, which controls your emotions. You know, I'm a stickler for that, guys. I always tell you guys that that's so huge to pay attention to your mind, your thoughts, and not necessarily run away from negative thoughts, acknowledge them, work them out, because a lot of times that's actually good that you're getting those thoughts because it's something unresolved in your mind that you might need to revisit and just examine a bit more. Okay, so it's no reason to really be scared of those thoughts. Acknowledge them, and if you trace to the root where this thought is coming from, it might be a core wound somewhere in your history. It might be something recently. It could be a myriad of things. I mean, have an open mind, but examine and acknowledge and look at that thought where it's come from. But that's why I always tell you guys to always fall back on your belief system, the higher power, and understand that the highest vibration that you can have is really, it's love. Okay, it's acceptance, it's joy. You want to be vibrating in those vibrating layers. You don't want to be in the bottoms. But you want to acknowledge if you see the bottoms, if you are experiencing emotions from the bottom. You don't want to run from it. It's nothing to shy away from or be afraid of. It's actually, like I said, it's an opportunity for you to examine your thoughts. Something else I wanted to add there. Gratitude. You always want to have gratitude and perspective. Like I told you last time, we want to always look at perspective as well because that's extremely important. And that can create the gratitude. But all of this leads to abundance. All of this leads to you being your higher self. And as you know, this channel is all about purpose, understanding, and development. And so everyone that listens to me, I ultimately want them to have those three elements. I want them to have purpose. I want you guys to have development, be in a state of development, and understanding. Understanding is extremely important. So when you are operating on those three, that's the key to being at your highest, because we're never going to be perfect. Okay, let's get that straight. We're never going to have it all together. It's fine though. You don't need it all together. You don't need to be perfect. What you need to be is you, authentically, okay? Because once you're that, nothing else can touch you. Once you're authentically you, competition is through. Okay, because it's not to say that you're better than anyone or that, no, you're the best you. And we all have a different life path. We all have a different timeline, okay? You want to find your timeline. And when you are in a state of depression, anxiety, you are not at your authentic timeline. You're at the timeline of the events and how you were able to handle those events. That's anxiety and depression. You're at a timeline of fear, doubt, guilt, shame, blame, all of those low vibrational. Absolutely. That's where you're at when you're in that timeline. So the whole key is to get you out of that where you can be your best self. Because ultimately, my theory is if we all, you can call it heal the world, Michael Jackson, or whatever you want to call it, but it sounds Pollyanna just thinking about it, but it's honestly how I look at the world and what I chose to do what I'm doing. I believe that if we can individually heal ourselves and understand ourselves and become the best version of ourselves, we can offer that to someone else and we can have that understanding. It's not saying we're ever going to be in a utopia or a perfect world. However, we are actively doing something for the greater good of the greater consciousness, okay, of everyone. And believe it or not, whether we want to believe it or not, we are all connected in some kind of way. It's like I always give you guys the example of when a stranger is walking towards you, and you honestly are going to have more than likely some sort of, depending on the situation, trepidations, you might have some fears, you might have look at that individual as a threat potentially, which is true, but those thoughts again become life. And understand that you can look at that stranger another kind of way. If you would have, God forbid, a medical emergency or something of that nature, at that time, that would be the only person that could rescue you. The only person, the same person that you can look at in one way and say, hey, this is a threat. This person's going to rob me. This person's going to assault me. You can also look at this is going to be my savior. It's all in how you look at it. Okay? So this is just one of the thought processes that I have explored in my life and understanding people, because I've seen these things in real time. So I've seen these things happen, and it made me think of it. Actually, I thought of it, then I saw it. So that's the old concept of, do we manifest or do we foresee? In my opinion, it's both. We do both. Sometimes at the same time. So that's why you need to control those thoughts. Understand those thoughts. And then begin to control. Because you have to have understanding before you have to have understanding, you have to accept, you have to understand it, then you can work with it. But if you don't do that, in that order too. So understand, family, that we're all a work in progress. We're all a work in progress, and it's okay. It's just fine being a work in progress. Nothing wrong with that. You should evolve. If you're doing the same things you were doing 5 years ago, 10 years ago, God forbid, 20, 30 years ago for the older folks, if you're doing the same things, you have the same thought process, you think the same, you see the world the same, just like Muhammad Ali said, at that point, you done wasted 30 years. You should grow. I'm nowhere near the same as I was at 19, 20 years old. Oh my God. However, what I do realize is that our essence, our core, the soul, that doesn't change. That does not change. My soul is the same. My thoughts, how I look at things, how I do things, that has changed, yes. But my soul, my core, it's always been the same. I've always been one of those people who was going to tell you how it is. And if ever I deviated from that, I ended up getting the bad end of the stick. So that's just the way God made me. That's the way I'm built. I have to tell it like I see it. Like I said, whenever I deviated from that, it ended up biting me in the butt. So I know everyone's not like that, but that's not my problem. I can only live off of who I am. I can't live off of what everybody else is. Everybody else might dance around things and, but like I said, every time I did not come clean, it always bit me in the butt in the worst way. So, sometimes you got to go away to come back, and that's when you really know that you're on your right alignment and you're on your right path, when you do deviate and you do come back and then that you're home. You're like, okay, welcome back. Because I'm going to tell you guys, living that lie to yourself is the worst in the world. Okay? You can't heal yourself until you be real with yourself. That's the only way. And so me being a life coach, I'm the greatest example. Just me. I'm not telling you anything from happenstance. I'm telling you everything from lived, learned experiences in life. So that's all I'm going to say, guys, today. I'm going to get on out of here. I hope everyone enjoy your day. Pay attention to those thoughts. Remember gratitude, joy, love, appreciation, you know, all those great emotions. So we want to be up there, guys. Acceptance. We want to be up there. Just remember. But it takes work. It doesn't just, nothing just magically happens. It's a mixture between letting things flow and not trying to control things, and doing what you can. Okay, doing what you can about what you can, and knowing the difference, and ultimately just appreciating your existence, appreciating being here, because none of this matters if you're not here. So remember that no matter how bad it gets, you're here. You're here. Peace, guys.